I didn't watch it all this. You dated. We all we need when Caitlin goes down.
The Indiana Fever's season has been nothing short of a pressure cooker. Every game feels like a headline waiting to explode, and every player is caught in the crossfire of the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. But in one particular matchup, the tension didn't just simmer, it boiled over. And at the center of it all, Sophie Cunningham, Kelsey Mitchell, and the league's most polarizing rookie, Caitlin Clark. This wasn't just another night in the WNBA. This was a spectacle that blended personal pride, team chemistry, and the raw drama that only professional basketball can produce. The Fever, already under the national microscope thanks to Clark's arrival, saw their locker room split wide open in front of millions of fans.
With the MVP, okay? Bow, bow, bow! Hell yeah.
And the person who lit the spark wasn't Clark herself, it was Sophie Cunningham.
Since the moment Caitlin Clark stepped into the WNBA, she's been a target, physically and verbally. Every drive to the rim is met with hard fouls. Every three-pointer is contested with more aggression than you'd see against almost any other rookie. Some analysts chalk it up to a rookie hazing. Others whisper that it's jealousy.
Here's the thing. When you're an elite level player, you not being able to play is the hardest part, mentally, physically, emotionally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not playing. It's when you're playing is like when it's a part of it. Like you're built for that. So when people say stuff like that, I'm just like, just shut up.
That the league's veterans don't appreciate the meteoric rise of a 22-year-old who instantly became the face of women's basketball. Clark's numbers alone would be enough to make her a headline. Double-doubles, historic scoring nights, and a rookie assist record that shattered expectations. But what really turned her into a lightning rod was her impact beyond the box score. Sold-out arenas, TV ratings tripled, Fever jerseys flying off the shelves. And with that spotlight came scrutiny. Every missed shot, every turnover, every eye roll was dissected on ESPN and Twitter. For a young star trying to find her footing, it was overwhelming. And for teammates who had spent years in the league grinding for respect, it created an awkward dynamic. Suddenly, every Indiana Fever story began and ended with Caitlin Clark. That's where Sophie Cunningham comes in. A 5-year vet with a black belt in Taekwondo and a reputation as one of the WNBA's toughest defenders, Sophie was never going to sit quietly while her rookie teammate got bullied. From the first week of the season, she positioned herself as Clark's protector, getting in opponents' faces, delivering hard fouls of her own, and making it clear that if you touch Caitlin, you'd have to go through her first. Fans quickly noticed. Sophie became known online as Clark's bodyguard, the one player who consistently backed her up. She wasn't afraid to take the technicals, the ejections, or the criticism, and in the league where Clark often felt isolated, Cunningham's presence was a lifeline. But here's where the story takes a dramatic twist. Not everyone on the Fever appreciated Sophie's approach, especially not Kelsey Mitchell.
Mitchell is no small name. Drafted second overall in 2018, she's been Indiana's leading scorer for years. A sharpshooter with a quick first step, Mitchell carried the Fever through seasons where no one else could buy a basket. But when Clark arrived, the spotlight shifted almost overnight. Suddenly, Mitchell's 20-point nights weren't making headlines. Her role as the franchise cornerstone evaporated in real time. And while she never said it outright, fans could see the frustration, the glances during timeouts, the subtle shake of the head when Clark's turnovers piled up, the post-game interviews where she looked drained.
Hats off to CC for, being a great teammate and having to go through so much with injury. But the all we got, all we need was just, it's a staple to who we trying to be as a team and who we want our culture to be.
By mid-season, whispers started circulating. Was Mitchell happy in Indiana anymore? Could she coexist with Clark long-term? Or was she quietly waiting for the day the Fever moved her to another team?
All of this boiled over during a late-season game against the Phoenix Mercury. The Fever was struggling, Clark had been knocked around repeatedly, and Sophie Cunningham wasn't about to let it slide. Midway through the second quarter, after Clark took another hard foul, Sophie stormed into the play, jawing at Mercury players, clapping in their faces, and letting everyone know she wasn't backing down. But as Sophie turned her fire on the opponent, Mitchell's frustration turned inward. On the very next possession, she waved off Clark, demanded the ball, and tried to force her own offense. What followed was chaos. Sophie locked Mitchell down on defense, barking words that microphones barely caught, but lip readers later plastered across social media. Not tonight, not like this. The sequence went viral instantly. Fans debated endlessly. Was Sophie telling Mitchell she wasn't going to let her hijack the offense? Or was it deeper? A public shutting down of a teammate who had been bristling against Clark's stardom all season.
In the stands, you could feel the tension. Clark avoided eye contact, Mitchell stormed to the bench, and Sophie doubled down with fiery play, diving for loose balls and rallying the team. Commentators picked up on the body language immediately. The Fever weren't just battling the mercury, they were battling themselves. By halftime, Twitter was ablaze. Clips of Sophie's defense on Mitchell racked up millions of views. Fans were split. Some hailed Sophie as Clark's hero, saying, "Finally, someone is putting Mitchell in her place." Others blasted her, tweeting, "You don't shut down your own teammate on national TV." Even the broadcasters couldn't ignore it. ESPN's sideline reporter noted, "This doesn't look like just a disagreement, it looks personal." What made the moment even bigger was that Sophie didn't just stop Mitchell once, she kept hounding her. Every possession, she was in Mitchell's jersey, denying her the ball, clapping her hands, making it impossible for Kelsey to get into rhythm. It wasn't just defense, it was a message. A message that if Mitchell wanted to challenge Clark's role, Cunningham would be there to shut it down.
They don't like her, bro. They don't like Caitlin. They don't like the fans. They don't like any of this. This is bad. This is really, really bad.
And when Sophie later hit a clutch three-pointer, she turned directly toward the Fever bench, pounding her chest and shouting. The camera zoomed in. The commentators lost their minds. The clip went viral with captions like, "Sophie just declared war inside her own locker room." The irony of it all? The Fever weren't even winning. Despite the internal fireworks, Indiana trailed most of the night. And yet, all anyone could talk about afterward was the Sophie versus Mitchell showdown. For Clark, the moment was agonizing. She's always preached teamwork, always tried to deflect attention back to her teammates. But now, the person protecting her had seemingly gone to war with the Fever's longest tenured star. And that set up a question bigger than any single game. Was Sophie Cunningham saving Caitlin Clark's season or tearing the Fever apart from the inside? The buzzer had barely sounded, but the real battle was only beginning. Indiana walked off the floor that night with another loss on the record, but no one was talking about the scoreboard. Every headline, every highlight reel, every social media post focused on one thing: Sophie Cunningham shutting down Kelsey Mitchell right in the middle of the Caitlin Clark storm. And the fallout? It was immediate, emotional, and louder than anything the Fever could have prepared for. Behind closed doors, the Fever's locker room was tense. Reporters who hovered outside described raised voices and a heavy silence after the outburst. Officially, neither Mitchell nor Cunningham addressed the confrontation, but body language spoke louder than words. Mitchell dressed quickly, skipped media availability, and left the arena. Cunningham, meanwhile, lingered, talking animatedly with assistant coaches before giving a short, sharp statement. "I'll always protect my teammates. That's who I am." To the casual fan, it sounded like a generic comment, but to those who'd watched the viral clip of her smothering Mitchell on defense, it felt like a subtle dagger. Protect Caitlin, even if that means putting another Fever guard in check. By midnight, hashtags were trending worldwide. Team Sophie, Team Kelsey, Protect Clark. Clips of the incident racked up millions of views on TikTok. One slow-motion replay of Sophie barking at Mitchell after forcing a turnover hit 4.8 million views in under 12 hours. Fans dissected every syllable, debating whether Sophie said "not tonight" or something even sharper. On Reddit, Fever diehards split into camps. Some argued Mitchell had every right to be frustrated. She's carried this team for years, and now she's just a background character in the Caitlin show. Others sided with Sophie. Mitchell's been sulking for weeks. Someone had to step up and say enough. Even neutral fans chimed in. A Sparks supporter tweeted, "Forget reality TV. The Fever are the most dramatic team in sports right now." It didn't take long for the national sports media to sink its teeth in. ESPN dedicated an entire First Take segment to the question, did Sophie Cunningham cross a line? Stephen A. Smith thundered, "Look, Sophie Cunningham is tough. I respect that. But you don't shut down your own teammate in the middle of a game. That's bad for chemistry. That's bad for the locker room. And that's bad for Caitlin Clark, because now she's stuck in the middle of this mess." Meanwhile, Chiny Ogwimike pushed back. "Hold on, Stephen A. You're missing the point. Sophie is showing leadership. She's saying we're not going to let selfish play or jealousy get in the way. Kelsey Mitchell is a great scorer, no doubt. But if her frustration is with Caitlin, that's not Caitlin's fault. Sophie is backing up a rookie. That's what vets are supposed to do." And just like that, the debate went national. Talk shows, podcasts, even morning news segments were buzzing. Then came the whispers. Anonymous sources suggested that Mitchell had been unhappy for weeks. According to one report from The Athletic, Mitchell was frustrated with her role and felt iced out of leadership conversations as Clark's star power grew. Another unnamed Fever player allegedly told a reporter, "It feels like we're playing for Caitlin, not for Indiana." On the other side, a Mercury insider claimed Cunningham had been telling teammates privately that she wasn't going to let anyone drag Caitlin down. Rumors also surfaced about a heated team meeting days earlier where Cunningham supposedly challenged Mitchell directly. None of this was confirmed, but once the speculation hit Twitter, the narrative took off. Fans were convinced that Sophie and Kelsey weren't just clashing on the court, they were clashing in the locker room too.
As if things weren't dramatic enough, Sophie Cunningham's family jumped in. Her sister Lindsay retweeted a clip of the Mitchell incident with the caption, "That's how you protect your teammates. Sophie always got their backs." Her mom Paula went even further, posting on Facebook, "I raised my daughter to stand up for what's right. She's not gonna let anyone bully her teammates. Not opponents, not refs, not even teammates who don't like it." Meanwhile, Mitchell's brother fired back on Instagram stories. "Crazy how people out here acting like heroes when they tearing the team apart from the inside. Respect to Kelsey for keeping it professional." Fans ate it up. It wasn't just a basketball drama anymore, it was a full-on family feud.
Lost in the noise was Caitlin Clark herself. Reporters swarmed her at practice the next morning, asking about the confrontation. She kept her cool, but her response revealed the awkward tightrope she was walking. "I'm focused on basketball. We're all competitors and sometimes things get heated, but I've got love for every teammate in that locker room." It was classic Clark, diplomatic, careful, unwilling to take sides. But fans weren't buying it. One viral comment under the Fever's Instagram post summed it up. Caitlin's playing peacemaker while the house burns down. For Clark, the dilemma was obvious. If she sided with Sophie, she risked alienating a veteran star in Mitchell. If she sided with Mitchell, she'd be throwing her fiercest defender under the bus. So instead, she tried to stay neutral. But neutrality wasn't stopping the storm.
At the heart of the drama lay a deeper truth. Caitlin Clark had completely shifted the balance of power in the WNBA. In less than a year, she became the face of the league. Attendance records shattered, merchandise sales exploded. Even casual sports fans who had never watched a women's game were suddenly tuning into Fever broadcasts. But that kind of spotlight creates shadows. Veterans like Kelsey Mitchell, players who had built their careers in relative obscurity, now found themselves overlooked. It wasn't about talent, it was about narrative. And for some, that stung worse than any box score. This is where Sophie's actions cut to the core. By shutting down Mitchell, she wasn't just playing defense, she was sending a message. The Fever's future runs through Caitlin Clark. Get on board or get left behind. The Fever organization, of course, tried to downplay it all. Head coach Christy Sides told reporters, "We're a family. Families fight sometimes, but at the end of the day, we're all focused on winning games." But even as she spoke, analysts noticed what she didn't say. There was no direct defense of Mitchell, no public praise for Cunningham, just vague coach speak that only added fuel to the speculation. And then came the most chilling development. Trade rumors. Whispers circulated that Indiana might explore moving Mitchell in the offseason to avoid an all-out locker room implosion. Some insiders linked her to the Atlanta Dream or the Dallas Wings, teams in need of a veteran guard. If true, this wasn't just a feud, it was a fracture with real consequences for the Fever's future. The storm inside the Indiana Fever locker room wasn't just another flare-up. It became the story of the WNBA season. Sophie Cunningham shutting down Kelsey Mitchell wasn't a one-night drama. It was a moment that forced the entire league, and especially the Fever, to confront a question they'd been avoiding for months. What happens when one rookie stardom reshapes everything? And as the dust began to settle, the ripple effects were impossible to ignore. In the days following the game, every press conference felt like a landmine. Reporters weren't asking about strategy or the next matchup. They wanted to know about Sophie versus Kelsey.
Kelsey, one of your teammates said yesterday that you started saying in the huddles, we're all we got, we all we need.
Yeah, I said we all we got, we all we need, yeah.
How did that kind of come about? And do you remember when you started sharing that message?
Probably, it might have been after somebody got hurt. I won't even lie to you. It was early on. I think it was when CC got hurt, and I felt like it was deflating. It was hard for people to kind of see us and see our energy for what we brought to the table as a team.
Mitchell tried to downplay it. Look, I'm a competitor. Sophie's a competitor. That's basketball. We've moved on. But her clipped tone and icy demeanor told a different story. When a reporter followed up, asking if she felt overshadowed by Clark, Mitchell gave a tight smile and walked away without answering. Cunningham, meanwhile, leaned in. I'll ride for my teammates, period. I don't care who doesn't like it. If you're in a Indiana Fever jersey, you're family, and I protect family. The problem, of course, was that family didn't feel united. Not when Clark was stuck in the middle, visibly uncomfortable being the symbol of a power struggle she never asked for.
For Caitlin Clark, the situation was agonizing. On the court, she needed Mitchell's scoring. Off the court, she leaned on Sophie's protection. Losing either would be a blow. But the bigger issue was perception. The WNBA had built much of its promotional machine around Clark. She was in commercials, magazine covers, and league highlight reels. To fans, she was the franchise. To teammates like Mitchell, that reality felt like an erasure of years of sacrifice. So Clark did what she's always done. She played diplomat. I've got nothing but respect for Kelsey. She's been here, she's done it, and she's helped me adjust to this league. And Sophie, she brings energy that's contagious. We're all trying to win. That's it. Her words were polished, but fans saw through it. Clark was papering over cracks in a wall that was already splitting.
Behind the scenes, the Fever front office was scrambling. The Sophie-Mitchell feud put them in a no-win situation. Trade Mitchell and they risk alienating fans who'd supported her since her rookie year. Keep her, and the tension with Clark's bodyguard would fester. Insiders leaked that management held closed-door meetings about roster restructuring. One anonymous executive even admitted, "We can't afford to lose Caitlin. Whatever keeps her comfortable and safe, that's the priority." That single sentence said everything. Sophie Cunningham wasn't just Clark's defender, she was now a chess piece in the Fever's long-term strategy. Mitchell, on the other hand, was expendable.
The national media framed the situation as a battle of eras. Former players like Diana Taurasi sympathized with Mitchell. Look, I get it. You give your whole career to a team and suddenly someone else shows up and gets the spotlight. That's tough. Kelsey has every right to feel that. Others praise Sophie. Every great star has someone who protects them, one analyst said on NBA TV. Jordan had Oakley. LeBron had Udonis Haslem. Caitlin has Sophie. That's not a distraction, it's a necessity.
Inside Indiana, the fan base split almost perfectly down the middle. Season ticket holders who'd supported Mitchell since 2018 felt betrayed by the sudden Clark-Cunningham alliance. Younger fans, many of whom only started following the Fever because of Caitlin, rallied behind Sophie with hashtags like Sophie Strong and Clark and Cunningham. Merchandise sales told the story. Cunningham jersey saw a spike, especially after her fiery defense of Clark went viral. Mitchell's sales dipped noticeably. For a front office crunching numbers, that kind of trend line spoke volumes. By the All-Star break, trade rumors surrounding Mitchell weren't whispers anymore. They were full-on discussions. Analysts floated potential destinations: the Dallas Wings, who needed a veteran scoring guard; the Atlanta Dream, a young team looking for playoff experience; the Chicago Sky, where Mitchell could reset her role alongside Angel Reese. Every new report added pressure. Mitchell remained professional, but in her eyes, fans saw the weariness of someone who knew the writing was on the wall.
This saga wasn't just about Sophie Cunningham shutting down Kelsey Mitchell. It was about what happens when a superstar like Caitlin Clark enters a league still learning how to handle stardom. The Fever became a case study in growing pains. A veteran who felt overlooked, a rookie under constant attack, a protector who forced the issue into the spotlight. And while the confrontation looked like chaos, it also revealed something crucial. The Fever had passion. They cared enough to fight. They cared enough to bleed for each other, even if it meant bleeding on each other first. So, did Sophie Cunningham shut down Kelsey Mitchell once and for all? In the short term, yes. That night, Mitchell disappeared offensively, and Sophie owned the narrative. But long term, the story isn't finished. If Mitchell stays in Indiana, she'll have to find a way to coexist with Caitlin Clark's rising star and Cunningham's fiery protection. If she's traded, her departure will forever be remembered as collateral damage of the Caitlin Clark era. And for Sophie, she's cemented herself as one of the most polarizing figures in the NBA. To some, she's a hero.
to others, a disruptor. But one thing is certain, she's no longer just a role player. She's a central character in the WNBA's unfolding drama.
The Fever now stand at crossroads. Will they build fully around Clark, letting Sophie enforce the culture, or will they try to hold on to Mitchell, risking another season of awkward tension? Whatever happens, the lesson is clear. The WNBA is no longer a quiet league flying under the radar. Every game, every feud, every viral moment has national stakes. And thanks to Clark, Cunningham, and Mitchell, the Fever have become the epicenter of it all. So buckle up, because if this season has taught us anything, it's that the drama isn't ending here, it's only evolving. And now, WNBA fans, it's your turn. Do you think Sophie Cunningham was right to shut down Kelsey Mitchell in defense of Caitlin Clark? Or did she cross a line that could destroy the Fever's chemistry? Should Ayanna trade Mitchell, keep Sophie, or blow the whole thing up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the wild world of the WNBA. Because trust me, the next chapter is coming sooner than you think.